So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's student induction program organized by Department of Microbiology, Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Centenary College, Lahore. So, today we are very fortunate to have Professor J. Ghori Shankar, Director, Indian Institutes of Science, Education and Research, ISA Mohali, for today's induction program. We are very grateful to you, sir, for giving us time from your busiest schedule for addressing our past semester students who are freshly admitted just in our department. So before going to science talk, I would like to request Dr. Vibhavushu Hazra, Assistant Professor, Department of Microbiology, Ramakrishna Mission, Vivekananda Centenary College, to introduce our speaker to the audience. Sir, it's over to you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Today it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our honorable speaker, Dr. Raman Ghori Shankar. He is an Indian medical microbiologist. He holds Doctor of Philosophy in Bacterial Genetics from the University of Melbourne. He was a scientist and group leader at the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology in Hyderabad. In 2000, he was positioned as a director for Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics. Currently, he is the director of the Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Mohali. In 1991, Dr. Ghori Shankar was awarded the prestigious Shanti Bhatnagar Prize for Science and Technology, the highest science award in India in the biological sciences category. In 2013, he was awarded the Padma Shri, India's fourth highest civilian honor, for his contribution towards the field of science. Dr. Ghori Shankar has huge contribution in prokaryotic research. The broad theme of his research has been the use of genetic and molecular approaches to understand various physiological processes in the E. coli system, including osmoregulation, solute transport, RNA processing and turnover, maintenance of genome integrity, and the interplay between transcription, translation, and DNA replication. Dr. Ghori Shankar is an elected fellow of the Indian National Science Academy, Indian Academy of Sciences, and the National Academy of Sciences, India. He was awarded the Young Scientist Awards of INSA and CSIR. He has been the recipient of B.M. Birla Prize, FICCI Award, CSIR Technology Prize, New Millennium Medal of Indian Science Congress, Sri Om Prakash Bhasin Award, J.C. Bose National Fellowship, the Muzelio Skepster Award of the American Society for Microbiology, and the INSA Senior Scientist Award. Okay, now, Maharaj.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your introduction. Now, we are very glad to you, sir, to amaze us today. We are very, very grateful to you. So, we would request to Professor J. Ghori Shankar, sir, Director, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, ISR Mohali, to kindly deliver his speech.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and I'm particularly grateful to Swami Kamalastananda, principal of the college, and Dr. Hazra for inviting me to this interaction with the students in their induction program. I just had a couple of quick questions before I start. So I understand all these students are have completed 12th standard and have joined first year BSc Honors of Microbiology, is it? And in the college?
So, they just complete the 12th standard and start the course of the BSc Microbiology.
Okay, yeah, okay. So this is what I thought. So to all the students, now I'm addressing you. So first of all, congratulations on completing your 12th standard and having been admitted into this very, very good and wonderful college that is part of the Ramakrishna Mission and is the Vivekananda Centenary College. This college is striving very hard to perform at the level of teaching which is comparable to the best in the world. And this is reflected in the rankings that it has in the national level, what is called the National Institutional Ranking Framework. So I think all of you have done extremely well, not only in choosing to join this college, but also in your past academic performance, so that both you and the college will try to do their best for the future development of your own careers. So I thought I would just take a few minutes to advise you, as it were, and give you some information about microbiology and what kind of opportunities are there, both in education in the area of microbiology and also opportunities for a future career after you finish your honors degree. So as all of you would probably know, microbiology is the study of microscopic organisms. So organisms which cannot be seen with the naked eye, but require special instruments such as a microscope for us to look at what these organisms are. So it is a branch of biology which looks at and tries to understand microscopic organisms, which include bacteria and viruses, yeast, protozoa. And as I said, they are called microorganisms because initially we did not know that they existed till the microscope was invented. Microorganisms, again, most of you will know, are responsible for a variety of diseases, and these could be bacterial diseases and it could be viral diseases, both in humans and other animals and plants. So from that point of view, microbiology is study which began about 3 centuries ago, has always had an impact or trying to understand what causes disease, especially in humans, and how can we control it and how can we treat it. So this is how microbiology first started. But microorganisms can also be helpful to us. So whenever we eat bread or curd or idlis, dosas, we are looking at fermented foods where the food that we are eating has actually been processed by the action of microorganisms to give the flavor and the taste, as well as the nutritional, what I would call the nutrient enhancement of these foods. Microorganisms can also be helpful in other ways in what is called symbiotic nitrogen fixation in plants, which you may have studied in your school biology program, and very importantly in the decomposition of biological materials. So all organisms in all life forms are born, they live, and they die. And when they die, they have to be recycled. And this recycling is completely undertaken by the microorganisms that are present in the planet. So what I've so far talked about is what we can call as the classical view of microbiology. The classical view is a very descriptive view where we study what are the various microorganisms that are present in the environment, what do they do, and how can they cause disease or how can they benefit the human life. But there is another view of microbiology, and this is what I thought I would spend a few minutes on. In this view, microorganisms help us to understand the processes of life. What I mean by that is we all know what living organisms are. We know that they come in various forms and shapes. So, like I mentioned, they include the microorganisms, but they also include insects and reptiles and various kinds of plants, primates, including humans. So this is the spectrum of life that exists on Earth. And what I'm trying to say is that microbiology can help us not only to understand microorganisms, but it can also help us to understand all life processes, especially at the molecular level, which we call molecular biology. And the reason for this comes from a fundamental principle that was first described more than 150 years ago by Charles Darwin. This is the principle of evolution, according to which all life forms, whether it be microorganisms or reptiles or humans, have all evolved from a single common ancestor billions of years ago. But each one of us, each one of the butterflies or ants that you can see around you, we all can trace our ancestry to one single ancestor in the past. Consequently, one Nobel laureate about 20, 30 years ago or 50 years ago, his name is Monod, he made a very famous statement. He said, what is true for bacteria is true for the elephant. So if we can understand these processes in bacteria, for the reason that bacteria are very simple and easy organisms to study in the laboratory, we can actually make very profound discoveries that apply to all life forms. And in this view, microbiology integrates itself with other disciplines of biology. So in earlier classical descriptions, biology was classified into botany and zoology and microbiology and so on. But today, all these disciplines are actually unified because of the theory of Darwinian evolution and this principle that the fundamental molecular processes that occur in any life form is similar to that in any other life form. So in this unifying approach, microbiology and biochemistry and genetics and botany and zoology are all coming together in a single discipline, ecology and so on. In many what I would call educational programs in the country, biology is seen as distinct from other subjects like physics and chemistry and mathematics. Yes, they are different, but in our understanding that we should get about microbiology and the larger aspects of biology, the contributions of physics and chemistry and mathematics becomes very important. So, especially for example, in microbiology, we often use the concept of exponential growth. One bacterial cell, when it divides, it becomes 2, and 2 becomes 4, and 4 becomes 8, and so on. And these are very much simpler to express in terms of 2 to the power n, which then works out to log to the base 2, the value is n. So these kinds of concepts of logarithms and exponents, and when we come to chemistry, the understanding of organic chemistry, how it applies to various reactions that occur inside cells, all of these become very important. So as you undertake your learning in microbiology, please keep in mind that it is not a subject which is isolated from other subjects. It is certainly a part of the larger discipline of biology, but in one sense, it is also a part of the even larger discipline of what I can call as experimental science. Again, going back to your school education, you may have heard of words like DNA and RNA, and DNA replication, and transcription, which is the process by which RNA is made from DNA, and translation, which is the process by which proteins are made from RNA. So this was very new to all the students when you were in school, and you will continue to learn this in greater detail in your BSc honors program. But what it is important to realize is the point which I made earlier. How did we come across these findings? How did we get to understand processes like DNA replication and transcription and translation? And the answer is all of these discoveries have been made from studies in microbiology by microbiologists, right? So these concepts are now common to all aspects of biology. When we talk about the process called the Krebs cycle, by which energy is generated from the sugar glucose. It is a series of reactions which are catalyzed by catalysts called enzymes. And these enzymes have specific names like glucokinase or enolase or citrate dehydrogenase. And you will learn all of these. But this entire process of understanding, a very large part of it, has actually come from studies on a single bacterium called Escherichia coli, and therefore is part of microbiology. So with that, I will move on to what are the, what do you see yourself while you learn these subjects in your BSc honors course, and what do you see yourself as doing after you have completed this education, undergraduate education, and obtained successfully your degree? What are your career options? The first point I would like to say here is that the degree that you will graduate with as a BSc honors degree, you must see it as a education that has not only given you information and knowledge, but it has also given you a way to proceed through life on your own, the way to think logically, make what I would call generate ideas and see whether you can implement them. So that is what education is about. Yes, you will learn specifically about subjects which I have just talked to you about, such as biochemistry and fermentation and so on. But there is also this intangible benefit that you get from your college education, which includes how to interact with people, how to generate ideas, how to think logically, how to be a morally upright and intact human being. One of my early teachers said this in a very nice way. He said, education is what remains after you have forgotten everything that has been taught to you. In other words, what you are taught is something which you can always go back and check in the library and Google it and so on. And it will come back to you. But the other intangible which occurs is what we would also call as education. So if we look at it that way, it doesn't matter what is the undergraduate degree that a student goes through in college. Yes, there is domain-specific knowledge of that degree, but then there is this intangible benefit which is common to all degrees. Dr. Hazra introduced me as a medical microbiologist. Actually, I did a medical degree. I did an MBBS. And after that, I chose to get into research in an area which is called bacterial genetics. From my entire 5.5 years of my MBBS teaching, there were only 3 lectures on bacterial genetics. That is all I had to carry me forward into my career. But it was not a waste. As I said, there is so much intangible and there is so much lateral assimilation of knowledge that comes from a degree that even today I find it extremely confident to talk about my medical knowledge in the context of my research, which is in basic microbiology. What I am therefore coming to is that when, as students, you are looking at career options, the whole world is open in front of you. You could think of civil services, banking, completely unrelated to, as I said, the subject that you might have studied in your undergraduate degree. Teaching is an option, both in schools and colleges. And there are specific applications of microbiology which are very, very important for society. These include medical microbiology, agricultural microbiology, and industrial microbiology, just to name a few. But perhaps the most exciting aspect of the degree that you are studying for is that you can even consider a career in research, which is what I am in. And I can tell you that the kind of pleasure that you can get out of research is very, very difficult to describe. And it turns out that in all aspects of scientific research, if we were to consider it today, it is the most exciting phase for research in biology. And if your education and your studies have been right, research that you can consider undertaking need not be confined to the discipline of microbiology alone. As I said, because biology is a very unifying subject, it does not really matter whether a person has done a BSc in botany or genetics or microbiology. They are all equally capable of doing research in any of these subjects, including cancer research and ecology and so on. So I think with that, I will stop here and just leave one principle or philosophy with all of you, which I consider as being very important for my own understanding and my own life. This is the principle. There is only one truth. And the second part of this principle is nobody knows the truth. No one. So it is for us as investigators of life to try and discover this truth for humankind. So thank you.
So student has now actually open to ask some question to sir, because sir is very busy. So students are just you can start question, you can ask question sir, so that he can give you the answer to you.
Hello, sir. I am a third year student of Department of Microbiology, and I want to know that if somebody is wanting to get into the research career, what are the qualities that person should have, or what are the qualities that has helped you to be the place where you are today?
Yeah, thank you, Nirmalendu. So the, the qualities are really just a sense of wonder and curiosity and so on. It's, let me put it this way. Now, I have had about 20 students over the last 25, 30 years who have done their PhDs with me. So that is how, in today's world, if somebody wants to get into a research career, then a PhD is considered to be something that one should try and get, because it's like a training period in research. And what these people have come with, which has made them successful, is really an a combination of things, that you must have some knowledge, but you must also have the ability to criticize that knowledge after some time. In other words, not only read a textbook and say, okay, this is what a nucleus is. It has a nuclear membrane, and then the nucleolus has ribosomal RNA in it, and so on. But also start asking, how did people find that out? How did they find out that the nucleolus has RNA in it? And then you go and read how they found it out, and you say, aha, but maybe they could have, the same finding could have been explained in a different way, right? So there are, so this sense of not, what I would say first is, of course, you must have the quality of knowing some knowledge, but also a sense of saying, no, nobody knows everything, and maybe they are wrong. And let me also apply my mind to how they found out, and so on, right? So this is one important aspect of somebody who wants to get into a research career.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I am a first year student of microbiology. Sir, I have a question. How to study in a proper way to get in research or something to achieve for country?
So to study, first of all, you have to, sort of spend time studying, right? So that is point number one. I can tell you what, what helped me, and that is to, to actually have a notebook and pen in the class, right? And as the lecturer is talking, keep writing down points, because listening alone is not enough. And if the if the lecturer just gives out a handout note, ultimately writing is a very important way of getting information into your head, right? Because then you are seeing what you write, and you are concentrating on it. You are also hearing, and so multiple senses contribute to getting the points that a lecturer is saying. I used to take down notes on one side of my notebook and keep the other side blank, and use the other side to fill up subsequently when you go to the library and read textbooks and so on. Similar points, so that you kind of add on to the points which the lecturer might have made. And then that notebook becomes a very, what I would call, interesting and important shortcut subsequently, because it has gathered together everything, and then you don't have to go back to the textbook again. So this is the way that, one way that I would say that, you can try to focus on your studies.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, myself Soumesh, and I am a first year student of RKM VCC College. Can I do a student internship after my first year under you?
So what happens is that, as you can understand, there are a large number of students in the country, and a good number of them are very keen to do internships, beginning from their undergraduate days. We are in a government national institution, and we are required to give what I call as equal opportunity to anyone who wishes to come to work with us. So therefore, we have systems in place, and you can apply. So we take people, people write to, so there is a call that is put out by the institute saying, whoever wants to do an internship here, please apply to us, and give a small write-up about what is called the statement of purpose, and based on that, then people are chosen. So you are welcome to apply in that. Then there are these academies as well, like for example, the Indian Academy of Science. They also have programs where they ask for applications from students like you, and then they select a certain number of students for the internship programs to be distributed to institutions like where I am working. So I get interns who either apply to my institute or interns who have been selected by the academy and then sent to my lab. So this is the way you can come to my lab.
Yes, sir.
Any question from student? So I think, sir, actually, student may have no questions.
Okay.
So it is a very nice interaction with the student during question answer session, and you have talked very nicely the uh, whole actually aspect, prospect, and aspect of the microbiology as a undergraduate and also the future so nicely within 30 minutes. It is really excellent that I also heard that really excellent you have described not only as a microbiology, but at least person can understand yours is this idea about the and also future of any student, how of taking any subject. Not that it is a microbiology, botany, zoology, physics, chemistry, but in general, how a student can study for the future purpose. So it is so nicely you have explained that. I think students are very much elated to get this type of very powerful and positive actually idea from you. And lastly, what you have mentioned, that is the truth, regarding truth. And this is very basic thing you have mentioned, that truth is one, nobody knows. For this purpose we are all actually searching. Otherwise, if it is not, then nobody actually starts searching to stop. So such a very nice comment, and nice actually this idea about the purpose of human quest for knowledge and quest for science. So it is nicely explained. It cannot be to say that that any word is sufficient to